Hi, I'm Kristen.
Hi, I'm Michelle.
We're readers and writers.
We're sci-fi and fantasy fans, and this is
The best of all worlds. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to our podcast. Today, since it's right about the middle of the year, we are going to give you a review of some of our favorite books that we've read this year and give some recommendations on why you might like them and why you might want to pick them up.
Yes.
So we each have three books that we've rated 5 stars. So that balances out very nicely for our podcast today.
Yes.
So we're each going to talk through those 3 books that are 5 stars and give you a little synopsis of it, what we really liked about it, and then what sort of reader might enjoy picking this up.
Yes. I'm excited to talk about these books. I've read some good books this year, so I'm glad that I have 3 already by the middle of the year. Like, that's not always something that happens, so.
Yeah, same for me. Like, I usually don't give out a lot of 5 stars because 5-star has to be like life-changing levels of book for me. So the fact that I've read 3 books that were at least somewhat life-changing, I am very happy about that. So
Good. I don't know that I would say mine are 5 stars because they were life-changing in particular, but I had very few faults with them is really why they're 5s. Like, I had a good time and I have very little negative to say about these books. So they're just solid. They're just really good. Well done books.
for sure. So before we dive into the 5 stars, real quick, because we've read a lot of good books this year, we're going to call out a few honorable mentions that were like really high 4.5s and just didn't quite make the list.
Yep.
So for me, book 3 of Dungeon Crawler Carl, the Dungeon Anarchist Cookbook, it's the one with the trains and the one where they start getting a little bit revolutionary, and I'm here for it.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised you didn't make that one a 5-star.
It was close, but it just didn't have that like extra factor to put it above, but it was really good. And then the other one for me would be Cloud Atlas, which was also like super interesting, thought-provoking, but there were some things about it that I'm like, that wasn't my favorite. So yeah, mostly Cavendish.
Cavendish, you ruined the book for her. So rude.
But anyway, those are my 2 honorable mentions that I wanted to shout out, both excellent books. Michelle, what are your honorable mentions?
My honorable mentions are a book called John Dies at the End, which it sounds like spoilers, but I'm telling you right now, it's not really that big of a spoiler. The whole story is about a guy who takes a drug and then can see ghosts. It's pretty wild. It's just weird from start to the end, but it had such good quotes within that book. I just had such a good time reading it. I read it really fast. I had fun. It was just a good time, but it was weird, and we're talking some major body horror, so it's not for everyone. I had some problems with it, but it was mostly a really solid 4.5 book. And the other one that I read was kind of a dark horse. I would call it a dystopian. It's called The Queue, and it takes place in the Middle East, and it is essentially a totalitarian religious government taking over this city and trying to rewrite the narrative of what happened while this guy is actively dying of a bullet that they refuse to remove from him because they say that the bullet doesn't exist.
Wow.
It's so good. It's a really good time. If you enjoy dystopian, I think you'll really like The Queue, and I just really enjoyed that it was a Middle Eastern take on a dystopian concept that we've seen a lot in Western media. So it was really interesting to see it from a different cultural perspective. And I really enjoyed that and the characters and the plot. It was just a good time.
Nice. That sounds pretty cool. Well, now moving into the main part of our podcast, starting off on our 5-star books and our recommendations for you.
Yes.
My first 5-star book that I want to bring up, I'm doing these in order. So this was my number 3 book of the year that I've read so far. And that is An Absolutely Remarkable Thing by Hank Green.
Such a good book. I'm so glad you read that book.
Yes.
So good.
I'm a little bit behind the bandwagon. I know it's been out for a bit, but listen, I really enjoyed this book. I picked it up partially because it's kind of a comp title for the book I want to publish, because both are very heavily based on like internet influencers and social media and the impact it has on society. And yeah, I was not disappointed. Not only am I like, yes, this makes me want to read my own book, but I was also like, this is actually such a good book. Like, what the heck? Some background about the book, if you are not familiar with it, it basically follows this girl who is just, minding her own business in New York City and stumbles upon this weird statue. And she's the first one to film like a viral video of this statue. And then it turns out the statue's an alien, and drama ensues, and she becomes wrapped up in this whole social media, political, international drama around this alien named Carl.
Yeah.
So,
that's funny. I forgot that's what its name was.
yep,
That's
it
funny.
is named Carl, not to be confused with Dungeon Crawler
A
Carl.
different Carl. A different Carl.
Different Carl. It is not wearing underpants.
Is it wearing any clothes, technically?
I genuinely don't know. I think it's just straight metal.
Yeah,
but
it's just a
yeah.
robot alien thing.
Yeah, it's kind of robotic looking, but yeah, basically there's lots of exploration of, the way that becoming like rapidly famous on social media does things to your brain, and like the way it causes stress in relationships, and the way people like will perceive you differently than how you actually are, but then you start changing because of it. And it's written by someone who is like a social media influencer, and it's like very clear that he knows what he's talking about. And I just really appreciated that about the book. Like, that's really what made it 5 stars for me, was that it was just very insightful about internet culture and influencers, and like really made me think in a good way, because we're here making a podcast and putting it on the internet, so that's relevant. The other thing I liked about it is there's also just like a bunch of like cool puzzle solving, which is fun. Like, they're trying to figure out what message that Carl is trying to send to the world, and that's fascinating, just all the things they go through trying to solve this and working together. And it's both a really interesting exploration of social media and just a genuinely fun and interesting plot.
Yep, I agree.
And April's also like a sassy main character.
Very
sassy.
Listen,
I am a sucker for a sassy main character, so
yeah. Very sassy. It's fun seeing a well-written female lead by a man. Like, when a man can capture an actual female, it's reassuring that men can understand what it's like to be a woman. It's nice.
Yeah, no, definitely April was a well done character for sure. So yeah, I would recommend this book to anyone who spends way too much time on social media or the internet. Like, you will appreciate this. Even if you don't spend way too much time on social media or the internet, if you're at least like pretty familiar with the stuff that goes on, you'll appreciate this book. And also, if you like books that are focused on like mysteries and puzzle solving with like a bit of a sci-fi twist, it's not like hardcore sci-fi. It's really more focused on like the humanistic aspects of the story. But yeah, lots of puzzle solving, lots of drama, lots of mystery. And so if you enjoy those things, I think you'll really like this book.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that book. I really enjoyed the puzzle solving.
Yeah, so that's my first 5-star book I wanted to share. Michelle, you want to take it away with your first one?
Yeah, and I am going to do the same thing. I'll go from third to first. So my third place book so far this year is called Artificial Wisdom by Thomas R. Weaver. The concept is that it is essentially a world dealing with a climate crisis, and they are having this vote for who is going to lead the world in solving this climate crisis. And the two candidates are an American politician who used to be president a while back and an AI. And the
Huh.
main character is a journalist who he lost his wife due to a climate event where it got extremely hot where she was at, and she essentially died of overheating. And he gets some insider information which could implicate one of the candidates as being maybe
Mm.
morally not the right person for the job. And so he sets off to basically learn more about the truth behind what happened that ended up leading to the event where his wife died. So he's got a huge personal stake in this story. And it's really, really interesting thematically. The world building is awesome in terms of like when we're talking like comp titles, although it's not necessarily a comp title to the story that I'm writing, the world building is similar in this concept of a thing called neural reality, which is basically like a virtual reality room that these characters go into to communicate and to use certain programs in AI, which is very cool and very fun and reminds me a lot of the world building in my own story. So I really enjoyed that. And there is a murder mystery happening at the same time as the character trying to solve the plot of what happened to his wife. So there is simultaneously him doing almost a murder mystery for his wife while there's a second murder mystery for a character a lot more present. Like it's actively happening. It is very, very fun if you like sci-fi, if you like sci-fi thrillers, especially if you like near future kind of stuff, and if you just like detective stories.
Yeah, you're kind of selling me on this. I'm like, ooh, I love a good murder mystery. Like, okay.
Yes, and there's a sentient AI, or is it sentient? That's kind of the question. Is it a sentient
Interesting.
AI? And can it be trusted with the power to make those kind of decisions for our society? It is so fun and so relevant to where we're at right now, where we're building this technology that could have the kind of powers that are portrayed in this story. So it's very relevant. If you like fiction that's like on the bleeding edge of where our society is headed and you want to kind of speculate around that, which in my opinion is the purpose of sci-fi, this is a great story. It's great. I have very few complaints. Very few complaints. It's a good time.
Well, yeah, I have to put that one on my list.
Yes. There's a second one, so I'm excited to read the
Ooh.
second one. So what is your second highest rated book of the year so far?
Yeah, so my second place book of the year is probably going to sound like it's coming out of absolute nowhere. And that's partially because it is. And that is Horse. Yes, it is called Horse by Geraldine Brooks. And this is not a fantasy. This is not a sci fi. It is a historical fiction with a bit of contemporary in it as well.
Yeah, talk about a dark horse story, but
Yeah. Honestly though, this is a book that I picked up because I needed an audiobook and I just saw it randomly
oh,
available,
nice.
like recommended by my library, and I was like, sure, I guess that sounds interesting. Like it involves like horse racing and the Civil War and people trying to uncover the mystery of this historical horse. And I was like, yeah, sure, this just sounds interesting. And oh my gosh, like I did not expect to love this book as much as I did. Yeah, basically the premise is it takes place in two timelines. So we've got one timeline, which is with this boy named Jarrett, who is the groom for a racehorse that goes on to become a super, super famous racehorse in like the pre-Civil War American South. So he is black, and so it's explored exploring like the way that like Black people were treated in that era, and specifically relating to like this horse racing realm, which was really interesting and not like a facet of that era I had ever really thought about. So that whole plot line was really interesting. Jarrett was a super interesting character, and his relationships with all the different people who came in and out of the cast. And the horse, like his relationship with that horse was just so wholesome. It was great. And then we've got the future. I say future from Jarrett's perspective, but more like modern day perspective of it's mainly two characters. One who is I forget her title, but basically she works with bones. Like she's the one who like articulates like skeletons for museums, and she works for the Smithsonian, and she comes across the skeleton of this a old famous racehorse that had just been like forgotten in an attic. And she also meets this Black man who he's kind of multicultural, but he comes from Britain, and now he's in the US going to grad school, and they meet up and both become interested in this horse. And like there's a whole relationship going on in the process. And anyway, there's a whole bunch of stuff going on, but it's all so interesting. Like both the past timeline is interesting and dramatic, and there's lots of like twists and turns and a surprising amount of action for a historical fiction.
Interesting.
And then the present timeline is also super interesting. It's like a little bit academic, like getting into like bones and art and stuff like that. But I found that fascinating personally. So I really liked that whole thing, and just the dynamics between the two main characters in the present were also really interesting, like exploring like racism and different perspectives on that, you know, from both of them. The lady's from Australia and he's from Britain, so both of them coming to America and having like outside perspectives on like the racial dynamics was also really interesting. And also this book is emotionally devastating, so I will give that disclaimer that if you don't want to be emotionally devastated, maybe don't pick this one up. But if you like things that are emotionally devastating but still have like some hope at the end, then you will probably enjoy this. It is there's some bad things that happen though. I will warn you.
I'm 100% intrigued. Clearly I have a bias towards horses, so I am definitely intrigued by this, and I have added it to my list. I'm not gonna lie.
Nice. So yeah, I don't know if I'm doing a good job of selling this, because this is not the typical type of book I read.
Right.
But if you enjoy a historical fiction, you'd probably enjoy this, especially if you're interested in like the American Civil War and the events surrounding that. If you like horses, you might enjoy this, because it definitely, you can tell the author has a love for horses when she was writing this.
Sold.
And yes. And if you like stories that really unpack like societal like prejudices and injustices, which I certainly do, you will also enjoy this book. So especially if you like all three of those things, that's why this was a 5-star for me, because those are three things that I very much enjoy.
Yeah, I'm definitely sold. And the story that's next on my list is completely in the opposite direction in every way. And you've actually already mentioned this book as an honorable mention, and I was again surprised it wasn't a 5-star for you, but I understand kind of based off what you were saying. But the Dungeon Anarchist Cookbook was just such a solid book for me. I had very few complaints. My little blurb, because in my writing journal I put like a 1-sentence summary for each book. The 4th level is all demonic trains and drug addicts, and Carl gets a cookbook. It sounds so unhinged when you're talking about a dungeon crawler Carl book. Like, are you on drugs? Was the author on drugs? I don't think so. I think it works in the context of the story. But when you talk to anyone on the outside, it doesn't make any sense. I was actually at at a store the other day with my partner, and I saw a guy with a goddammit donut shirt, and I was like, oh well, of course I'm gonna strike up a conversation with this guy. And we were talking about the book, and my partner was just kind of looking at both of us like we had lost our marbles. And I'm like, you gotta read it to understand. And yes, I will admit this is the third in the series, so it does kind of require the context of the first two. But seeing as I read all three of those books within 1 month, I'm sure you guys can catch up. Listen to our podcasts about each of those books. We have a lot to say, and I would be very glad for you guys to give those a listen and then read the books so we can continue to talk about them. But some of the best things about this book, and Kristen will go for hours about this, the trains. The trains, the trains.
Yes.
Chaos incarnate with the trains.
So much logistics.
Some of the things that I really liked about the book were the character moments, especially. There was a lot of character growth and change, and the dynamics really evolved a lot throughout the story. So if you like a story that's very character driven, where the characters have choices that fundamentally change how they behave over the series or over the book itself, this is it. If you want a good antagonist with a satisfying ending, strongly recommend that. And if you just like Dungeons and Dragons in any context, you'll probably like this book. I have seen people of all colors and creeds just getting together to read this nerdy book, and it is such a good time. I've seen so many people go into the Dungeon Crawler Carl series being like ready to bash it, and they literally can't, even though it's the most unhinged thing you will ever read. You still can't bash it. You still can't bash it.
It knows what it is, and it leans into it like just perfectly.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's a really good time. Just chaos incarnate. If you liked the first Dungeon Crawler Carl, I'm sure you will really like this book. I have seen it in top 5 lists for the series, and I think for good reason. I just really love the way that one of the characters can morph her body and make it into very unique and creative solutions. So I quite enjoy the creativity of problem solving within this story, which makes it that much more interesting. And especially if you love D&D, you like watching characters create unique solutions to problems that they are not equipped to handle. So I enjoy that a lot.
Yes, yeah, for sure. That's not just the strength of this third book, it's the strength of the whole
For
series.
sure.
So that's one of my favorite parts about Dungeon Crawler Carl is just the creative problem solving is tops.
What is your number 1 book of the year so far?
All right. Well, I think I've brought it up before on this podcast, but if you haven't tuned into those episodes, let me tell you about Blood Over Brighthaven by Emma Long.
She's on a war path, and it is a path to convince everyone to read this book.
It's so good. Like, this book just blew me out of the water. Like, of the 3 books that I have mentioned in my 5 stars today, this is the one that I'm still thinking about. Like, the other 2, like, when I start talking about it, I'm like, yeah, that was really good. Blood Over Brighthaven is like, it has not left. It is still there, and it is still that. Like spinning on the wheels. And I read this like over a month ago.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, this is a story it's kind of like a dark academia steampunk-ish fantasy setting, where there's this city that is like set apart from the rest of the world with this like protective like dome around it that's this like center of magic and learning. And we follow 2 characters in this city. One is Siona, who is the first like woman to become a high mage in this society that's really like sexist toward women in magic. And then there's also Tamil, who is one of the outsiders who grew up away from the city. They're called the Quen, and he like immigrated into the city some years back, and now he's working as a janitor, but he and his people are very oppressed as outsiders to this city. So they're both minorities in their situation in different ways, and they have to work together as Siona's working on this big project that'll be like her big chance to prove herself as a high mage. And then stuff happens, and I could see the stuff that was going to happen before it happened, and I went, oh no.
The preemptive cringe, like you know
the
it's coming.
preemptive, like, I think I figured out what is going on here, and that is absolutely horrifying. And I couldn't look away.
You know,
and oh my gosh.
I kind of love that. I recently watched a movie that did that exact kind of concept where there was a moment that you knew exactly what was about to happen, so we're all just sitting there like covering our eyes but also still peeking through, like waiting for it to happen because we know it's gonna happen. We don't want it to happen, but we know it's inevitable, so we're just waiting for it to come up. So that's what it kind of sounds like you're describing.
Yeah, that was kind of how it felt. And I'm not sure if I was supposed to guess the twist as early as I did, but yeah, the moment I guessed it, I'm like, oh, that has to be correct. And oh no, these poor characters, when they figure out what I figured out, oh no.
I love dramatic irony. It's my favorite.
And so, yeah. So, reasons that I love this book, other than just being a really interesting like plot and setup and everything, the magic system is fascinating in many different ways, but one of them being that it's controlled by like typewriters. It's almost like coding, a little bit like a computer programming science-y like type of magic, which I really enjoyed that. And then I also just really enjoyed seeing the character growth of both Siona and Tamil. Like, they're both, Siona especially is a very like flawed character who is, you know, she's brilliant and talented and driven, and in a lot of ways I related to her as, you know, sometimes socially awkward, but really, really focused on, you know, what I'm passionate about. But also she has some like major blind spots about like people who are different than her and not considering other people's feelings. And so she has to grow a ton throughout the book. And Tamil as well, in his relationship with Siona, also grows and comes to, you know, learn new things. And there's a moment at the end of the book involving his character arc that, like, it was not the moment you would think would have made me cry, considering this book is also emotionally devastating, but that was the moment that almost made me cry. And it's, I won't say any more because I don't want to spoil anything, but yeah, it was part of his character arc that did it. And yeah, it's just overall it's beautiful and absolutely intriguing, and the characters are so good and the themes are so good, and it is like heartbreaking but also hopeful, and I love a book that is both heartbreaking and hopeful, and this one just did it so well. It was just so good, and I'm still thinking about it. And also I listened to it on audiobook, and the audiobook was really well done, so I will shout that out as well.
Very exciting. And isn't that the same author who did Sword of Kaigen, which is like one of the most popular fantasy stories of like the last decade?
Yes, yeah, that one's definitely bumped up on my TBR after reading Blood Over Brighthaven, because I'm like, oh my gosh, this author is so good. Like, I bet Sword of Kaigen is amazing.
Yeah,
so.
I've heard nothing but good things about both of the books, so I'm excited. I'm about to start Blood Over Brighthaven, so I'm going to be starting that very soon. It's not even on the TBR, It is on the like next on the docket, so.
I'm so excited to have someone to talk to about this book because it's so good.
Watch it be a 1-star. No, just kidding.
No, it can't. That's illegal.
That's illegal.
Not as illegal as giving 1 star to Return of the King, but
not quite,
you know.
but close.
And what is your top book of the year so far?
The top book that I have for this year is a story that I was not expecting to be on this list, which is kind of silly because you've recommended this series to me. Daniel Green talks about it all the time. A bunch of people cite this as their favorite fantasy series of all time. So you would think I would come into this being like, yeah, I'm going to love it. But I actually came into this series like very skeptical that I would enjoy it. And then I really enjoyed the first book, but I had a few problems. This book I had almost no problems with, and it is book 2, The Great Hunt of Wheel of Time. And long story short, the first book kind of has you question whether or not the main character is actually the chosen one, but in this book, it is absolutely no question. So, my summary of this book is Rand is for sure the chosen one, and now he must find a horn. Which really oversimplifies what happens in this book. But essentially, yes, he's on this quest to find this horn, which when he calls will sort of signal that he is the dragon reborn and that there is hope and that everyone should work together to take out the Dark One. And along the way, his friends are going off in training to become Aes Sedai, and then his other friend is on a mission to try to find this dagger that without he will surely deal with some major consequences. So a lot of really big things are happening, and you get multiple points of view that were not experienced in the first book. I think there's something like 6 or 7 points of view in this book, which sounds like a lot, but I'm like, give me more. I want all
Oh,
the
you
points of
will
view.
get more.
My favorite point of view, and this is probably no surprise to anyone who knows how I feel about antagonists being the point of view, I loved Leandrin's chapters, even though I love to hate her at the same time. She made me so mad, multiple times.
Yeah, she's a good like hateable villain for sure. And that's not
Yeah.
a spoiler. It's kind of obvious that she's not a good person from the start. So.
No, it's very obvious that she's not a good person, and then the things that she does are diabolical. She is something is wrong with her, and you know something's wrong with her because she's a red Aes Sedai. I think any red Aes Sedai, a red flag. I mean, it's their clothes are a flag.
Literal red
Yeah, their
flag.
clothes are a flag. They want to choose violence. That's just their method. They choose violence, and Leandrin is no exception. And Moraine is not as good at hiding her intentions as she would like to think that she is. And so there are consequences to Moraine's hubris, which I like as well, because Moraine kind of comes off a little too perfect in book 1, so it's nice to see her flaws really highlighted in this story, which sounds mean, but actually makes the story just that much more compelling to see her flaws kind of explored. And we get to meet the what are they called? It starts with an S. They use the like
Oh, the
collars and
Seanchan.
the Seanchan. Oh my god, they are pure evil. They are pure.
Oh,
I remember
now
you
you
mentioning,
understand why
yeah,
I made them my number one villain of all time,
yeah.
and they're so heckin'
Mm.
scary.
One of my favorite scenes involves the Seanchan and their powers being used against them.
Yes. The whole end of The Great Hunt is like one of
Yeah,
the best ends of a book that I've like ever read, full stop.
yeah.
And I don't want
It's
to spoil it for
such a
anyone
good time.
because you need to go experience it for yourself. But
Such a good time.
definitely if you read the first Wheel of Time book and you're like, this was fine,
Read the second
give The
one.
Great Hunt
Yeah.
a try because it's a 5-star for me too. Like
Yeah.
it's one of my favorites of the series.
Yeah. This is something that I will bring up that I really enjoyed about this. And this is why I like the sci-fi that I'm using in my world and the sci-fi that was in Artificial Wisdom. There were some really cool moments where they were in this like dreamlike state and there were tests happening. That stuff was so cool. Like those are probably some
Oh
of my favorite
yeah.
sequences from the whole story, and I just want more of that. I want way more of that.
Yes. Don't worry, there will definitely be more of the dream world in Wheel of Time.
Yeah.
And I agree. It's one of In the earlier books, I didn't like it as much,
Oh,
but once I
interesting.
started understanding the rules, then I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
heck yes, give me more of this.
Yeah.
I like to know the rules. That's the kind of person I am.
That's fair. It was just really interesting, and yeah, again, my only problem with this story is the love stories that are you're supposed to root for, but they don't make much sense. Yeah.
This is fine.
But I genuinely loved The Great Hunt. I'm excited to read The Dragon Reborn, and I don't know why I never thought I would be into Wheel of Time, and here I am. Here I am. Rating the second book 5 stars. So take with that what
Yes,
you will.
join the club.
I have joined the bandwagon. I am now a Wheel of Time fan. It has happened.
Yes.
I don't know why I thought I wouldn't like it. I really don't, but maybe it's good going in with low expectations so they're just blown out of the water. So you can just enjoy
Yeah.
yourself.
It's true. Like Wheel of Time, I think the reason I'm like, I bet Michelle would like this is because you like explorations of like morally gray
Mm-hmm.
characters and
I
villains, and
do.
Wheel of Time has a whole ton of that.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Just even what's been portrayed so far, and if there's gonna be more moral ambiguity, I am beyond excited. Again,
oh yeah.
I love multiple points of view as well, so I'm excited for more of that. I love when you can't fully trust the point of view that you're reading. I love that so much.
Yep, there's definitely some of those too.
Yes. Leandrin, no. But yeah, definitely a fun time and a fun read. Actually, all of these books that we listed, I've actually had a really great reading year this year so far. Almost all of the books I've read have been 4 stars. There's only 2 books that were 3.5 or 3 stars for me.
Nice. Yeah, I got 3 3-star books, but nothing below that. So,
Well,
I'll take it. The rest of them have been 4 stars and above.
yeah, that's not bad at all. And how many books have you read at this point?
I'm at 21 and about to finish another audiobook, so that'll bring me to 22 probably by the end of the month.
Nice.
So.
I am at 15 so far. So I'm a little slower, but I've been trying to get through some shorter books. These Dungeon Crawler Kara books definitely help because they are fast reads. I am busting through those books.
But yeah, we've had some good reads so far. Hopefully you took something out of our conversation. There's a book that sounded good to you. So if you're going to pick one of these up, let us know in the comments. Or if you've already read it and you too also really love it, let us know. We would love to chat about it.
Yes, and if you have any books that you rated 5 stars that you recommend, I'm all ears as well. I love to read good books. Like, I know some people really want to give like scathing reviews to books. I don't. I want to like every book that I read. That's kind of why I read it, because I want to enjoy it. So if you have books that you're like, oh my gosh, this book is great, put it down below to add to my miles long TBR, and maybe bump a book up the TBR. Maybe you're gonna mention a book I've already heard of, maybe like Sword of Kaigen or something. So I'm excited to hear your opinions.
Yes, so yeah, let us know your 5-star reads down below, and thanks for joining us today.
Woo! Like, subscribe, do the things as always, of course.
Yes, bye.
Yes. Bye.